I'll never forget the day Linda Harper strutted into the county courthouse like she was walking the red carpet. Her stilettos clicked against the marble floor, echoing through the room like a warning shot. Dressed in a sharp, tailored blazer and skirt, her hair sculpted into that telltale, "I need to speak to your super VY sore Bob." She was the picture of unshakable confidence. Linda, the iron-fisted HOA president of Willow Creek, had a reputation that preceded her. She wasn't just here to win, she was here to destroy. "Today's the day Officer Daniels learns his place," she declared, her voice loud enough to make the reporters in the front row snap to attention, pens scratching furiously. This wasn't just any lawsuit. Linda Harper, the queen of our upscale neighborhood, was suing a cop for stalking her. The local news had been buzzing about it for weeks. A well-to-do HOA president was taking on a police officer for harassing her and her pristine white Audi A6. I was sitting in the back of the courtroom, trying to blend into the woodwork. As Linda's next-door neighbor, I'd had a front-row seat to her reign of terror in Willow Creek. Her smug glance caught me as she passed, and she flashed a smile, probably thinking I was there to cheer her on. Oh, how wrong she was. The trial kicked off with Linda's lawyer laying it on thick. "My client has endured unimaginable emotional distress," he boomed, gesturing to Linda, who was dabbing at her dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. "Officer Daniels has targeted her, surveilling her home, her property, specifically her 2023 Audi A6, for no reason other than personal vendetta." The room hung on his words, the tension thick. But then Officer Daniels' attorney stood, calm as a summer breeze, and asked to present EVY Denke. "Your Honor, we have documentation that not only dismisses this case as baseless, but suggests criminal act EVY tie on the plaintiff's part." A ripple of whispers spread through the courtroom. The judge took the folder, his face darkening as he flipped through it. He looked up at Linda, whose smug grin was starting to crack. "Ms. Harper," he said, his voice like gravel, "are you aware that the Audi A6 registered in your name was reported stolen from a dealership in Connecticut?" The color drained from Linda's face. She shot to her feet, her voice sharp with indignation. "That's absurd. I bought that car fair and square 18 months ago. This is the harassment I'm suing over." But the prosecutor wasn't HVYing it. He laid out the EVY Denke, falsified registration, altered plates, and a paper trail that pointed straight to Linda. Before she could say another word, the bailiff was at her side, cuffs in hand. The courtroom gasped as Linda Harper, the untouchable HOA queen, was handcuffed right there, shrieking about her rights as they led her away. Looking back, the signs were always there. Linda showed up in Willow Creek 2 years ago, a whirlwind of ambition and arrogance. She campaigned hard for HOA president, promising to protect property values and bring order to our quiet suburb. Within weeks of winning, she turned our neighborhood into her personal fiefdom. New rules popped up: overnight bans on street parking, restrictions on unsightly vehicles, even guidelines on mailbox colors. Her white Audi, though, that was her crown jewel. She'd park it front and center in her driveway, polishing it every weekend until it gleamed. German engineering, she'd brag to anyone stuck talking to her. Nothing else comes close. Meanwhile, she'd slap citations on neighbors for the smallest infractions. My cousin got 3 notices when she parked her SUV in my driveway for a week. When I confronted Linda, pointing out that the HOA bylaws didn't cover VY cider vehicles, her response was ice cold. "The bylaws mean what I say they mean. Maybe if you drove something classy like my Audi instead of that budget sedan, you'd get it." That was Linda power hungry and untouchable. Or so she thought. Her feud with Officer Daniels started 6 months ago. He pulled her over for blowing through a stop sign, and Linda, true to form, tried to name drop her HOA title to dodge the ticket. It didn't work. From that day on, she had it out for him. She started calling the non-emergency line whenever a patrol car lingered in the neighborhood, claiming police were loitering. At HOA meetings, she'd rant about government overreach and harassment of honest citizens. Most of us just nodded and kept quiet. Linda's wrath wasn't worth crossing. But when Officer Daniels' patrol car started circling her house more often, she lost it. He's obsessed with me and my car, she fumed in an emergency HOA meeting. It's intimidation. I drive a luxury vehicle, so he thinks I'm a criminal. What Linda didn't know was that Daniels wasn't after her, was after her Audi. A routine license plate scan had flagged it as a partial match for a stolen vehicle. What started as a hunch turned into a full-blown investigation. The more Daniels dug, the shadier things looked. Linda's lawsuit against him was her big power play. She announced it at an HOA meeting, practically glowing with spite. I'm suing for harassment, stalking, and emotional distress, she crowed. About the best lawyer in the state. When I'm done, Daniels will be lucky to guard a parking lot. We all stayed silent, conditioned by years of her petty vendettas. But deep down, I thought her confidence was too much, even for her. The preliminary hearing was a bombshell. Daniels had built an airtight case. The Audi's VIN had been tampered with, matching a car stolen from Connecticut 2 years ago. Surveillance footage from a body shop 40 miles away showed Linda arranging the fake plates herself. The judge, who'd initially seemed to buy her sob story, now looked at her like she was dirt. Ms. Harper, he said, your lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, there's probable cause to arrest you for possession of stolen property, falsifying documents, and filing a false police report. Linda's face twisted with rage. This is a setup, she screamed. Daniels is framing me because I dared stand up to him. But the bailiff was already cuffing her, and her protests echoed as she was dragged out. The fallout was unreal. Neighbors slipped into the courtroom, their faces a mix of shock and grim satisfaction. Linda had made plenty of enemies, and while nobody wanted her in jail, there was a sense of justice in the air. The investigation didn't stop with her arrest. A search of her house turned up a stash of forged documents not just for the Audi, but for designer bags, jewelry, even a boat. Her computer was a gold mine, revealing emails with an auto theft ring spanning 3 states. The real kicker? It wasn't money driving her. It was envy. When a new neighbor, Sarah Mitchell, rolled up in a sleek Tesla Model X, Linda lost it. Nobody outshines the HOA president, she wrote to her contact in the theft ring. Give me something German that makes that electric junk look like a golf cart. The HOA board didn't waste time. The day after her arrest, they held an emergency meeting. The VYC president, a soft-spoken retiree named George, took charge. Given recent events, he said, choosing his words carefully, we need to vote on Ms. Harper's role as president. The vote was unanimous. She was out. Months later, Linda stood in court again, a shadow of her former self. No designer clothes, no perfect hair, just a woman facing the music. She'd been convicted on multiple felonies, receiving stolen property, falsifying registration, insurance fraud, and filing a false report. The judge didn't hold back. Ms. Harper, he said, your actions show a blatant disregard for the law and a belief that your status puts you above it. 4 years in prison and due lost $65,000 in restitution to the dealership. As the sentence hit, Linda's composure shattered. For the first time, she looked truly broken, speechless as they led her away. Officer Daniels, sitting in the gallery, just nodded once, his face unreadable. Willow Creek hasn't been the same since. The new HOA board is a breath of fresh air, and the neighborhood feels lighter, like we've all exhaled after holding our breath too long. But Linda's story still lingers, a cautionary tale of pride and power gone wrong. So, what do you think? Did Linda deserve her fate, or was she a victim of her own ambition? Should Officer Daniels have handled it differently, or was he just doing his job? And let's get real. Have you ever dealt with an HOA tyrant like Linda? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're team justice, and subscribe for more wild stories like this one. Let's keep the conversation going.